channel. It's Christy and George's, and I'm back with a new video. So today I'm making a video about how I get A's in pre-med courses and how I study, my mindset, just like the most important things that I'm basically taking my brain, how I think about things, how I go about studying. I'm basically putting my brain into this video. I think it's gonna be pretty extensive. I'm not trying to make it super long, but I really want to make sure that this video is as helpful as possible. When I was entering college, I definitely watched a whole bunch of videos about how people study for pre-med courses and this and that. I saw terrible videos where it was just like not that extensive and it was like pretty generic and not helpful, and I saw really good videos as well that were helpful. This is literally how I think about school, how I think about achieving anything in school. I think the first and most important thing is to be a positive thinker. Positive thinking is super important. I like to think positively. I always like to put positive words out there whenever it comes to studying. I'm just gonna give a quick little story time. But there was this one time I was studying for an exam and I thought I was gonna completely fail. Like, I was like, oh my god, I don't get what's going on. And I was studying a little bit throughout the weeks until the exam came, and I was like panicking, and I'm like, I really don't feel like I'm gonna do well on this. And then like the day of the exam, I went into the mirror and I looked at myself and I'm like, you're gonna do well on this. You're going to get an A. You are smart. You can do this. You are capable. You know what you are doing, Krista. Like, I literally looked at myself and told myself this. I took the exam, you guys, and mind you, I literally called my mom after I got out that exam, and I was on the phone saying, I think I failed. Like, I was full on tears, ugly crying. I go and I check my grade, you guys, and I kid you not, I swear to God, I got 100%. Being positive and saying positive things to yourself and thinking positively helps so much. Also, another thing for me is that, for me personally, from a young age, it was ingrained in me to always complete what you've started. I started learning my multiplication tables when I was 4 years old, and my mom used to force me to sit down at this little table, and I couldn't get up until I completed learning all my multiplication tables. Mommy, so I'm filming a video right now, and I wanted to call and ask you if you remember when I was little and you were teaching me my multiplication tables, and I was like, what, like 4 or 5 years old, and I would like throw myself on the floor and not want to learn it, but you'd make me sit there until I completely like finished the work, and you were like, you have to sit there until I completely finished it, and you made me work hard to learn my multiplication tables.
Absolutely, you had to. You didn't have a choice.
Another thing for me is I have this whiteboard, and I actually erased what I had on here because I wanted to rewrite it to show you guys exactly how I keep this whiteboard. If you guys see, I usually have it hung up right by my desk, and it reminds me every single day. So what I do is I write down my long-term goals. I promise you guys my handwriting is not this terrible, but my long-term goal right now is med school. What short-term goals do I have to get through in order to get to this long-term goal? And I think of it like a big 3-ringed pyramid, like that. And I say to myself, well, to get into med school, what I need to have a good GPA. I need to have a good MCAT score. I'm writing MC delta T like I'm in freaking count. MCAT score, and everything else, and everything else. So this is what I write. And so I say, okay, to get a good GPA, I have to study, do well in BCPM courses, and for MCAT you have to study, practice, review. What other extra things do I need to make sure I'm doing right now while I'm in my undergraduate to make sure I can reach this long-term goal? And I'll be like, okay, what other extra stuff? Well, I'm doing research, okay, that's good. I volunteer, shadowing, I have a YouTube channel. In order to achieve my long-term goal, these are the things that encompass my short-term goals: getting a good GPA, good MCAT, and doing all these extra stuff. And this is what the extra stuff, the MCAT and the GPA is broken down into. So that's how I like to think about things, and that's my mindset. I have this like hung up right in front of my desk, and I literally will look up at it and it will be like, long-term goal is med school. So I never forget that. So even when I want to like go to bed and I'm tired, I'm like, do you think that med school's like, I literally will talk to myself that I see this in front of me. So sometimes writing it out and seeing it can also be a good motivator. So now that I'm done with telling you guys about my mindset and how I think about things, the next thing is to get into academics, because this is what I know you all are here for. The first thing is I always read the syllabus. There is not a class that I've not read the syllabus for. Some classes, they actually force you to read the syllabus by giving you a syllabus quiz, but some classes, they don't require you to read the syllabus, but I still read it. The syllabus is a good way to know how the class is structured. The syllabus is a good way to understand what exactly you know, is expected of you. For some classes, if you didn't go to a discussion class, you lost points off your grade. It literally could affect your grade by a 10%, with a 10% portion of your grade was just going to your discussion class. And you might not have known that unless you actually read the syllabus. My other friends that do really well in school, we all read the syllabus. So the next thing that a lot of people don't like to do, and especially when you get away from your parents and you don't have your parent to force you to go to class, is they don't like going to lecture. But I don't miss lectures. I've said this before, I don't ever miss lectures unless I have to miss them. Going to lecture, your professor may post their notes online, but there are certain things your professor might say in class that are not on the notes. And let's say that you don't read the textbook or you don't go over the textbook, there are certain things that the professor will say in class, repeat more than once, and chances are it will be on your exam. I say go to lecture and be an interactive learner when you're taking notes. When the professor's asking questions, write down those questions that they're asking. Answer the question. Be there, be in the moment. Be like, oh, if the professor's like, this is an exothermic reaction, where is the heat gonna be in this chemical equation? Maybe this might be something that shows up on your exam. Where they want you to know that you know where the heat's supposed to go in an exothermic reaction. Write that question down and answer when your professor's saying it. Listen to the answer and write it down. This is a good way for you to pay attention in class and for you to actively learn. A lot of people will go to lecture, they stay on their phones, they're on their computer watching YouTube videos, they're not paying attention, and then they complain and they go on ratemyprofessor.com and say that the professor is terrible and is a terrible teacher. Yet these courses are hard. They're not meant to be easy. So you have to actively be there, be in the moment, listening, learning, and interacting with your professor while they're trying to teach you. I'm gonna show you guys an example of what my notes would look like for class. So my professor's talking, while my professor's talking and explaining, and I'll write out like everything step by step that the professor's saying, and I'll write notes to myself. Like I'll be like, oh, you need to make sure you look at the order of, I'll literally write out notes to myself. And you see it, well, I literally write out like, oh, this is what it tells me I have. Like I literally write out everything the professor is saying. I write out, I'm really interactive in class. I pay attention when I'm taking my notes. I'll be like, oh, the professor just asked us, where does the heat go in an exothermic reaction? I'll be like, where does heat go in exothermic reaction? I'll literally write that question down, and then I'll be like, remember, heat goes on this side because, while the professor is explaining why it goes there, and I'll have the explanation so I understand if it shows up on my exam and it's a conceptual question. Not only do I understand the conceptual part, but I can also answer it if it's like a mathematical type of question as well. And that goes for also biology as well. Why does this happen? Explain what genetic drift is. Explain why allopatриc speciation happens. I'm trying to remember things from bio. That was a while ago, freshman year. You know, things like that. Be interactive when you're taking your notes. The next thing is to stay organized. It's so important to be organized. Like, I like to take super organized notes. When I'm taking notes, I literally will have arrows pointing to things, notes and little side notes to myself, telling myself what I was thinking, and I make sure that I label what each packet of paper is. So this was chapter 16, so this is a whole packet of chapter 16. Whenever I need to go back and I need to find, you know, chapter 16 packet, here's my chapter 16 packet that I made for myself. My professor doesn't give us packets, but I make them for myself because it helps me stay organized. I don't have to search through a notebook to find where chapter 16 is or where it ends. I know all of chapter 16 is right here in this packet with good notes, good work, and all of that. The next thing is, for any pre-med course, do not be afraid to go to your professor's office hours. Let me tell you guys, when I go to my professor's office hours, I go in with all my homework, questions that I don't understand. I make sure I write notes of exactly what I want to ask them. I'm like, why is this happening? What is the purpose of this? Does this always happen? Why? I literally write out all my questions in my homework right next to the question. I have I show the work of what I've tried figuring out so far, and I go in there and I'm prepared to ask them questions. Don't just go in there like arbitrarily. Like, make sure you have what you're gonna ask ready and set to go. Attempt the homework. If you attempt the homework and you're really lost, you're like, I have no idea how to start this problem, then okay. Go in with those questions that you don't know how to start, you're lost, you can't get this concept, and go in and have your professor explain it to you one-on-one. It's like literally one-on-one tutoring with your professor. Social awkwardness, who? Nervousness, where? you're not gonna stop me today because I'm getting my A. The next thing is to study a little bit every day. Trust me, I know it's really hard when you have a hectic schedule to get time into study every single day. What I like to do is I like to book a study room in the library, and I'll just book a 2-hour time frame, and I'll just be in there for 2 hours by myself, where I'm forced to review my stuff for at least 2 hours every single day. The information you're learning sometimes in an exam, you're having an exam on 7 chapters, 8 chapters of information. You have to keep up with it. You can't just, you know, I'm gonna study 2 nights before the exam. Good luck studying for a 6-chapter test in 2 nights. After you do your homework, you can't just do your homework and be like, okay, I did the homework, I got the questions right, I'm done. Go back and do those questions again, because you need to make sure you understand the method, you understand the concepts, and you understand how to go through those problems. Homework problems tend to show up on exam, and I remember the professor saying that a lot of people got this question wrong. I'm not sure why, because it was on the homework, and I got it right because I did the homework and I did it over and over and over again. So definitely do your homework and do it over and over and over again. Do the practice problems and really get them, and go into your professor's office hours for explanations. Write down what they're saying. It's like a private one-on-one session with them, giving you a really good in-depth explanation of how this process may work. The last thing that I have to say is don't pull an all-nighter. I don't believe in pulling all-nighters. I think that they hurt you more than they help you. I remember in psychology we learned this about how you remember most of the information you learn at the beginning, and you remember most of the information you learn at the end, and you tend to forget all the stuff you learn in between. It's better to just learn information in bits and pieces. Your brain remembers things better when you just learn it in little bits over time, more so than when you're cramming a whole bunch of information in. You're just gonna remember, you might remember a lot of what you learned at first, but a lot of the stuff you're studying in the middle of that study time, you're gonna forget, especially if you're cramming. When you go into the exam and you're tired after pulling an all-nighter, there's so many little simple things that you can mess up on, and trust me, I know because it has happened to me. That's why I say study a little bit every single day, so that way when it's time for you to study for the exam, and I like to study at least a week before my exam. I like to really start in-depth studying a week before the exam, so that way when the time comes for you to start in-depth studying for the exam, you're not learning the material, you're really just reviewing it, and you're really ingraining it into your brain, you're encoding it into your brain, you know, you're really actively pushing it and forming it into your brain. So the next thing is, if your professor doesn't like give you guys old exams or their past exams, or doesn't post them, go to their office hours and ask them, what's this exam going to be like? What is it gonna look, what is the structure? How do you think I should study? What do you think I should focus on? Go ask them. Now, if your professor does release old exams and past exams, use the old exams as your practice. Sit down, if you know your exam is going to be in a 2-hour time frame, set a 2-hour timer, set it up like you're in an exam room, and take that exam and see what you're going to get. If you usually, how you do on past exams and practice exams is a good indicator of how you're going to do on the real exam. Because if you 17 out of 22 on it, I'm like, okay, well, I got this question wrong, I got this question wrong, I got this question wrong. Let me go and review in depth these concepts because I got them wrong, and then I'm gonna take the same exam again, all the questions, see how I do, and see how I do. And if I do better, I'm like, okay, now I get it. I understand these concepts that I was weak on, and I reviewed them. Then I move to the next past exam that's posted, and I do that, and I review that. So I definitely say the more you review, the better. Another important thing is, while you're taking these practice exams, if you see like an answer choice that just is something like, you're like, I don't know what this is, so I don't know if it could be the answer or not. Okay, well, go look it up. Go look it up, because if it shows up on the real exam and it's an answer choice, how are you gonna know? Make sure you can answer any variation of the question. So, you know, if the question's asking for, I don't know, density, then make sure you're able to find, they could ask you to find the mass. The last thing I want to say is that before coming to, if you're in high school, or if you're like, you know, entering college soon and you're going to be pre-med, please understand basic algebra. Please understand how to do trigonometry. And if you want to do pre-calculus, make sure you understand your pre-calculus stuff, because it's going to show up again when you take chemistry. Yes, the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Yes, you need to know that. It's not going to be on your formula sheet. Heck, your professor might not even give you a formula sheet. So know your basic math stuff because it's going to show up again. Know how to factor, algebra, it's gonna show up again. Like, you need to know how to do your basic math stuff because it's gonna show up in chemistry, it's gonna show up in physics. The last thing I have to say is if you're a high school student and you're contemplating and you want to like be pre-med in college, I'm gonna tell you, take AP courses in high school. Take AP statistics, take AP calc, take AP bio, take AP chem, take it. It makes it so much easier because, you know, everybody else is learning this material for the first time and it's like, oh, I just took a whole AP class on this, so I know how to do this because I already learned it. So when I went to take Calc 1 in college while other people were literally like struggling, AP Calc 1 in college, Calc 1 was so easy because I had already learned this material. I hope that, you know, this video was helpful. I hope that I gave out really good tips. This is literally all the stuff I wrote down. I literally just told you guys like everything I wrote down. This is everything I've done, everything I do. And I'm a strong believer in that, you know, the power to do well is in your hands. It's in your hands, and if you want it badly enough, if you want it, you can achieve it. I don't think that there's any reason that anybody can't do well. Anybody can do well in these courses. I'm not like the smartest kid or the smartest person in the group. People think I'm like so smart and think I'm like so intelligent, and honestly, you guys, I work my butt off. And without my mom, I don't think I would be the person I am. So I'm so thankful that she ingrained into me my personality, that like, you know, mindset of like, if you want something, work hard for it. Don't make excuses, don't blame anybody else, but work for what you want. Yeah, with that being said, I just want to say thank you guys so much for continuing to support my channel, and I hope this video helps somebody out, and give this video a huge thumbs up if it helped you out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below so you can see more videos from me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.